my name is Michael Tomasita, and I am making a Draw Yourself video about my journey as a student. I was born on November 23rd, 1994, at the Evergreen Hospital in Washington. I have a family of 4, including myself, my dad, Russ, my mom, Jeannie, my older sister, who's 2 years older than me, Zoe, and me. My dad, who graduated from the U with a business major, is a businessman who works for a company called E.E. Robbins. He would go each day to downtown Seattle to work. My mom, who also worked in Seattle, was an engineer. Both my parents would go every day to work. My sister, named Zoe, would go off to school every day on a big yellow bus. I always wanted to go with her, but I couldn't until I was old enough. When I was in preschool, I always used to go into the reading corner, even before I could read, just to look at the pictures. When I would get home, I would play with Legos, and sometimes I would try and build the stuff that I read about in my books, like castles and pirate ships. My dad used to play baseball when he was little, so he tried to teach me baseball because he was really interested in it. I played because I had fun playing with my dad. When my mom was little, she used to play piano. So when I was old enough, I took up piano myself. I ended up playing for about 6 years, just to make her happy. However, on my own time, I would read books, especially late at night, sometimes till 1 o'clock in the morning. Something that I was interested in at the time was soccer. It was my favorite sport, and I have still played soccer up until this day. When I got into junior high, I discovered girls. I think in my first year of junior high, I must have had 4 girlfriends. I also took up cross-country running. I only was going to do it to get in shape for soccer, but then my mom bought me a scooter, and I was pretty happy about doing it then. It turns out it was something I was pretty good at because I was the captain for 2 years running my 8th and 9th grade year. I also had a teacher named Miss Wespestad who taught English. She taught me all about poetry and books. One day I tried writing a poem for a girl in my class, and I gave it to her. She laughed, and so I decided poetry wasn't for me. We also read a book called The Outsiders. There was a quote in that book that said, "Get smart and nothing can touch you." So I decided that education was good, and I decided that I would try my hardest. I graduated from 9th grade with a 3.95 GPA, and my parents were very proud of me. After Kenyon Park, there was high school. High school seemed so big, and there were so many more students. I felt very small. There were so many things going in high school. I had schoolwork, homework, sports, a job, and my friends. Things like sleep and books, I just didn't have time for anymore. However, I've always had good English teachers in high school. I had Miss Flayhiff, who taught me about the hero's journey, Miss Lyman, who taught me how to write, and Miss Duffy, who gave me a great appreciation for books. I also had a French exchange student. We became best friends, and I decided that I wanted to go visit him this summer. I wanted to go see the great monuments in France, such as the Eiffel Tower, l'Arc de Triomphe, and maybe even a castle or two like I used to read about in my books. I loved all of the art and architecture. One quote from a book that we read this year was that the object of the artist is the creation of the beautiful. What beautiful is another question. I decided that this beauty could be achieved through architecture and that I could create it. But how would I do that? I'd have to go to college. Maybe in California? I applied to a school called Cal Poly and I got in. The only problem is, it's so far. I ended up committing and I'm gonna go there next year. I think that I could create great things like houses, maybe even become famous. Who knows? Maybe I'll make a tree house so I can just go up there and read by myself. However, who knows what the future will hold.